Well, one of my favorite competitions on the African continent is the Africa Cup of Nations, and the 35th edition rather, looms as it's going to be taking place come next year. It will be played all the way until the following year. It actually feels like it's going to be played across 2 years. But before we get there, we need to trickle down the teams. They have to battle it out, and they need to earn their spot in order for them to possibly be part of the group that will go out to Morocco and want to dethrone Côte d'Ivoire.
You know the nice thing about it is that you remember in February, it was on my birthday, I still remember, the 20th of Feb, when the draw was made. So I knew that number 1 to number 44, based on the rankings, would be given a bye into the group stages itself. So the team that ranked from 55th all the way to 52nd, because two countries pulled out. Seychelles and Eritrea said, no, Assisi. So it was all those, the bottom 4 or the bottom 8 had to battle out for the 4 positions to make it 48 countries in total for those groups that we have 12 groups in total, all with 4 teams or 4 countries, so to speak. So on Wednesday, that's when he started the business side of things. Yeah. Because it all started now with matches played. 4 matches were played on Wednesday. 3 matches produced draws, 2 1-all draws, 1 goalless draw, and 1 winner. Sudan is the only country that actually won a game. But what made it very interesting also, Itu, when you look at those matches, is that Libya played against Rwanda. Libya took the lead, and then it was Rwanda who equalized later on. The same man who broke the hearts of the South Africans when they played against Rwanda in Rwanda scored a goal, the equalizer for that encounter, for that to be 1-1. What is making it interesting is that Rwanda are in the same group as Benin and Nigeria. And also in the World Cup qualifiers, Benin, Rwanda, Nigeria, and South Africa in the same group. So you're going to see a repeat of that. Nigeria, we all know. Last week we were talking about the new coach for Nigeria. Yes. That hit a huge U-turn. Because he was
Bruno.
Like, Bruno was like, nah, and this is not going to work out for me. So Bruno is gone.
And I did say to you that when you bring in someone at this point, yes, he's known as a firefighter, he's the fixer, but will he be able to handle that seat? This for me also just confirms that there's so much going on in the Nigerian Football Federation that we may not be privy to.
So 4th coach now will be sitting on a bench for Nigeria.
Listen,
for me is a problem.
1 year.
In 1 year, that's a big problem for me because when I take on Benin, a team that defeated them already in the qualifiers for the World Cup, that's the game that is coming up. So the other matches that were played also on Wednesday, it was a game between Ethiopia and Tanzania, the Battle of the East, that ended in a goalless draw. That was very interesting because I wanted to see which of the two will actually win that game.
Just a question, when we talk about the eastern side of the African continent, I know the West dominates the most. Are we seeing a bit more development
It is
within
indeed.
the East?
Things are changing in the East. If you talk now also about the CAF Women's Champions League, you're talking about later on with Jessica. CBE has already qualified for the CAF Women's Champions League.
We finally have our 7 teams.
It's one of those. I mean, you're talking about. From a Tanzanian point of view, Simba as well as Young Africans have been dominating the space in the African side of things. Goma here from the Kenyan side is a team to talk about also. So we have a lot of transition happening, a lot of changes happening in that part of the continent. And it bodes well for Africa in totality because when those teams do well or those countries do well and the clubs are able to translate that into national team, being able to find themselves in good space. And the fact that the next AFCON after Morocco is going to the East, we need them to be at the highest
Which
level.
is why I was asking you about them specifically, because after Morocco, all our eyes will turn to them.
It is indeed. I mean, Uganda is one of those that really need to up their end and get to the same level as all the other teams.
What's Uganda's problem? I miss them in the AFCON.
Listen,
I don't think I've seen them in my era, actually.
Remember, Uganda played once. No, they were in your era.
Have they? I haven't.
When Micho was in charge.
Yes. And then they exited from the group stages.
Yes. They qualified for the AFCON for the first time in 39 years. So they need to make a return. There are no our brother around there.
I know.
A lot about that. But a game that I found very interesting was the one between Comoros and Gambia. Because you needed 2 senior statements to come up and really show what they can do. You know, it was 1-0. Yusuf Changama was the man that scored the goal. By the way, he's the man that has the most cap for the country. And he's the second when you talk about goal scoring for the country. He found the opener.
Big players step up for big moments.
But it was also a special moment for a player who, Musa Barrow, you know him very well from Gambia. He got the equalizer. So that ended 1-1. They're in the same group, which is very interesting with Madagascar and Tunisia in Group A.
I expect Gambia to dominate in that group. I think this is the year that Gambia needs to step up. We've seen what they did the first time they made the appearance at the AFCON. Second time, not so great, but I think this is their time.
Match you look forward to, Cameroon versus Namibia. That's what we talk about. You know, yesterday South Africa.
I'm a big fan of Namibia. I love coach. I love what's happening in Namibia. I think it's great. They made it all the way to the end for Kasafa.
Yeah.
I think that something is really cooking there.
Another one, Mauritania up against Botswana.
I'm gonna give it to Botswana. Go.
They're in the same group as Egypt and Cabo Verde, so that's another interesting one. But also on the 10th, they're in the same group as Egypt and Cabo Verde, so that's another interesting one. But also on the 10th, Libya against Benin. Nigeria against Rwanda. That's another one to talk about. So we got some interesting stuff to look forward to this year as far as the AFCON is concerned, the qualifiers for the AFCON is concerned.
Well, it's tantalizing fixtures that await. We're going to trickle them down. Some hearts will be shattered and some will definitely be beaming with joy. The Africa Cup of Nations is taking place come next year, the 21st of December. It will play all the way until January. Will you be there? Because I'm crossing fingers that South Africa will be there. And we're going to be there too. Speaking it into the universe.